Good morning. This is Peter Levesque. This is the second episode of my video blog from the Community University Expo at the University of Victoria. It's May the 7th, and I've got a few reflections about day two. I was struck by the number of comments from people about the launch of the Manifestation Journal, and what struck them wasn't the journal. I mean, although there's lots of enthusiasm and support for this activity, what struck them was my use of the word love. That community-engaged research, community-based research, participatory action research, evidence-based practice, evidence-based decision-making are fundamentally acts of love. That they are deep concern about doing the best that we for those that we care about. And I'm glad that that had that resonance, that people saw that it was authentic, because it's something that I truly believe. And I hope that we continue to grow a culture that approaches research and the utilization of research in a loving manner, that it's about caring. It's not just about discovery, but it's about caring for those, caring deeply for those that we love. I'm amazed at the diversity of the sessions. It's remarkable. There's so much work that's going on, and yet it's not part of the dominant research culture. And I think that we need to be creative about ways of sharing and accessing our knowledge in many different places, in many different times. I think that we need to think both about the asynchronous events, the things that happen in the same time, same place, like this conference, but also asynchronously. How do we make what we know available to those that need it when they need it in a format they can use? And I think we need to be really creative about that. I was also struck by how deep the conversations are in open spaces, that sometimes the structure gets in the way. I listened to and I overheard lots of really interesting, detailed, deep conversations that are hopeful, that are based on lots of really hard work, that are going places that you wouldn't necessarily expect them. And so I think that we need to create those open spaces, those agoras, those marketplaces where people are going to discuss this work on a regular basis, not just as a special event. And that brings me back to the kind of the parallel and concurrent nature of the sessions. I mean, concurrent sessions are great, and there's so much that's going on, and I think what we need to keep in our mind and in our hearts is that there's a spirit, an ethic, a connection between all of these elements, and that fundamentally this isn't my work or your work, but it's our work. And how do we reward that? How do we recognize that? How do we build that? Dinner last night was absolutely amazing. I'm a big fan of steamed greens, and the organic greens with hazelnut were almost as good as my grandmother used to make. So good job, guys. It was absolutely amazing. And what was clear in the room, at the banquet room, although it was noisy, and it was a fairground, an agricultural fair, so lots of hard spaces where noise bounces all around, was the growth and emergence of friendship. Clearly, people are meeting friends that they've already known, but also creating new friends, and hopefully that sustains itself over time, and people are able to both co-labor, but also to play together, so co-play-alate. Yesterday I made some comments about part of what the Academy has to get over with in terms of some of the issues, but I think that on the same hand, some of the community members that I've listened to need to get over some of their issues and work them through. I'm not sure that power differentials are going to change anytime soon, and if we're only focusing on what we don't have as opposed to focusing on what we do have, and of building those assets and protecting that and nurturing it and engaging perhaps as enlightened trustees for the assets of our communities, I think we may neglect them. I think we need to, within our communities, look at what we have and say, my gosh, these are blessings. How do we make sure that these are shared as widely as possible with as many people as possible? And how do we open ourselves up to the world and ask for the help that we need, even if we don't want to ask for help, but to say that there are things here that are are entrusted to us that we would like to enhance, and how can you help us with that? And I think one of the key lessons about help is you often get it when you ask for it. I think the challenge then is asking the right questions so that you actually get what you need, as opposed to getting anything that comes along. And I'm wondering if, and this isn't from an egotistical point of view because this is part of what I do, but I'm wondering if we actually need more people that are acting as brokers and as boundary spanners that are creating the connections. I was last night sitting with someone who I consider a brother of mine, Norbert Steinhaus from Science Shop, Bonn. It's too early, my coffee hasn't kicked in. And we've been working on this stuff together for about 10 years. And the links that we've been able to create from the Community Research Network run by the Loc Institute and Dick Sklove's amazing work of 13, 14 years that brought people from Europe in the science shops, that we linked to the Curas, that we helped create the Living Knowledge Network, that I went to Hartford and met CCPH and some great people there and connected them to Canada. And I can't take credit for all of this, but there's a lot of people kind of intermingling. And I'm not a researcher, and I'm not a university, I'm not a university professor. I'm not in a NGO per se, but I live within my community and I work on projects all the time, and in true network fashion assemble and disassemble according to need. And I'm wondering if that is something that we need to help develop capacity for. This is a wonderful conference. There are some amazing people. The knowledge and wisdom is deep and wide. And I look forward to the 2 sessions that I'm giving this afternoon on podcasting and on YouTube, and hopefully those little tools, the 10% equation in terms of leveraging of technology, really helps enhance the 90%, which is the social interactions and the decisions that we make. So this is Peter Levesque. It's May 7th, and this is my second video log.